Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tim Pearce, and I'm here to talk to you about the services formula, the key ingredients for unlocking value. So if we step back 20 years to shortly after the millennium, when the euro currency launched, the Twin Towers in the US were attacked, Sven-Goran Eriksson started as England's football coach, and the first Harry Potter film premiered. At around that time, I'd started working for Xerox, with an earlier career in other parts of the technology industry. So if I may, I'll use them as a brief example of the services formula and the key ingredients for unlocking value. Well, all the talk then was about printing devices providing faster speeds and better output, no more paper jams, no more long lines at the copy machine, and of their generally impressive performance. Half a century before, Xerox's founder, who was a patent lawyer called Chester Carlson, was tired of composing many copies of the same document by hand. So he came up with the concept of dry writing, a process for making dry as opposed to wet paper copies at the simple press of a button. This was how copiers were born, and from the millennium on were the pieces of equipment central to building out the concept of equipment as a service. For those of you who are unsure, this is a business model that provides equipment performance and outcomes that customers most value through a bundled service. It takes the place of customers buying the equipment with the support of traditional financing. Coming back to Xerox, they realised that customers' real issue was understanding the total cost of running their print environment. They wanted to understand what drove these costs and what services were needed to reduce them. This was a critical piece of insight and a key moment for them. It quickly led to providing a service that rationalised print infrastructure and that today is commonly known as a managed print service. The most mature version of it involves the complete outsourcing of everything related to print. Like in other areas of technology services, the customer stops owning the equipment, they're taken off the balance sheet, and they pay based on usage. It's a utility type approach delivered with the help of software in the cloud. Making these services happen was a lengthy but rewarding journey which started with the understanding of what customers really needed. As Anne Mulcahy, who was then the CEO, has said since, get the data, solicit opinions, listen carefully and be open-minded. To continue quoting her words, it was really a distinct advantage when doing this that we as Xerox know more about the document, care more about the document, and can do more with the document than anyone in our industry. The Xerox organisation then had to transform to align with the demands of providing these services. This involved the highest level sponsorship from Anne to set the vision and innovate the company's business model. As part of this, technology played its part to remotely discover and monitor print devices, to service and optimise the print fleet, and to make sure the promised levels of service were delivered. Lastly, but critically, the company's value chain also needed to come into play, with key elements including finance and funding, plus the lifecycle management of the printing equipment. So why are these last elements so critical? Well, finance and funding takes the equipment, the service and consumables elements, along with depreciation of the print assets, into one regular and often variable payment. Now, this is a fundamental part of what customers are being offered. As a manufacturer, there might be revenue recognition issues to tackle here, but there's also the greater predictability of earnings, which investors really like, and an opportunity to free up capital on the balance sheet to use for something else. The focus on lifecycle management can then lift the service's profitability by thinking in terms of the state of need rather than the state of the art and the cost of the outcomes. By this I mean not all customers need the latest and greatest equipment, just the kit that's sufficiently good and which can come through refurbished second and third use. By thinking this way, you can access new geographies and customers, lift residual values, and be more sustainable. As you think about developing these services, it's very important to assess and monitor the risks involved. This is for several reasons. It's to make sure they can be delivered as you have promised in the contract, but also to support the conversation about funding. By this I mean the full set of risks need identifying for funding to be priced, from device performance and use to credit provision, service cancellation, to residual value and more. With these key ingredients in place, sitting underneath the four forces that we've talked about, that's the market, organisation, technology and value network, customers can then start to enjoy the benefits of an equipment-enabled service. In Xerox's case, these have been a reduction in print-related costs, those are up to 30%, a reduced use of resources, a more secure print environment and a more productive workforce. Speaking more generally, the value that customers can enjoy includes the simplicity and peace of mind that comes with subscribing rather than purchasing, with access to the right mix of assets, technology and expertise as needs evolve, improved asset availability, performance and security, and the ability to focus on their core business with fewer suppliers to deal with. Taking the value to you as manufacturers, this will likely include a repeatable stream of revenue with customers you're much more likely to retain, along with higher margins and a greater share of their overall spend. The ability to get new business and grow market share, leading to higher services penetration, and a way of tackling both customer sustainability agendas and the consumerization of business relationships. As of 2023, for Xerox, this meant 76% of revenues were post-sale based, reflecting contractual print services, supplies and financing. I hope you agree that these are two very strong sets of benefits to offer by offering a service like the one I've described. So if your company is not already playing here, you might ask yourself, well, do we want to be selling products or the problems they solve? After all, the organisation really exists to provide value to those you can serve. So it's an important question to consider and for us to finish on today. If you really, truly want to solve these problems, which are the most painful? How can they best be addressed? And how do we then decide whether offering an equipment-based service is the right way forward and start plotting our journey? For this, you can consider using the models Aston University's Advanced Services Group has published, for example, as I used in the extended Xerox case study I co-authored with them a few years back. As you go, do keep the services formula front of mind. By this I mean the four forces we've talked about here. As a reminder, the market, organisation, technology and value network, with risk management and funding as critical elements. So I'm Tim Pearce. I work for Invigors. We're the independent advisors to the European asset finance industry. And I'd like to finish by thanking you for taking the time to listen. Do feel free to ask any questions you have. Stop me for a chat through the rest of the day. Thanks very much.